Welcome back into another live and amplified indie fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. We have Jess Antonette. How's it going today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing really well. The fact that I made it through that intro without having to cough or something is a shocker to me right now.
I know. I have my cough drop right in my cheek. Luckily, I have a chunky cheek, so you can't see it.
It's getting to be that time of year where like all the leaves and stuff are starting to fall, and it's becoming allergy season all over again. So it's never fun.
So. as I cough.
Right. It's all good. So how's everything going? How's Nashville been treating you?
It's great. I love Nashville. Have you ever been to summertime here in Nashville? It's a great time. It's super hot. The weather's starting to change into fall slowly, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. But yeah, I love Nash.
My favorite time to go to Nashville is the end of February, beginning of March, where it's not too cold but not too hot.
Yes, it's perfect.
Yeah, I went there this year and I walked around with like a sweater on, but I didn't really need the sweater, but I did, and it was just kind of like, this is comfortable. So
yeah,
Nashville is a really cool city. I love it. So
it's fun. There's always something to do. It's great. Yeah. I love it here.
Absolutely. How long have you been in Nashville at this point?
I've been here about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so right after or before around the pandemic?
Right around the pandemic, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't consider my first year here like living in Nashville. When I was here, I was by myself. So that doesn't count. I just checked that one off.
Fair. I mean, I moved to Texas right around that time, and I was like, I lived here for 2 years, and somebody would be like, oh, hey, I'm going to some bar. You want to join me? I was like, what's the address? I don't know where that's at. And he's like, you've been here 2 years. You don't know where this main street bar is? And I'm like, yeah, got to remember, a year and a half of that was the pandemic, and nobody did anything. What a weird time
to be alive. It was a
weird
time.
Right. And so then you're originally from New York, correct?
I'm born and raised in upstate New York, and then I lived right outside the city for about 13 years. And then I moved to LA, where I thought I was going to stay. And I was only there for 6 months. And then I decided Nashville was the place for me, and I've been here ever since.
Fair. To be fair, though, LA, the fact that you survived 6 months, that's a shocker in and of itself. So
yeah, it wasn't for me. I really love it. I have great friends there, and I know amazing musicians out there, and the scene is good if you're into like acting and all that stuff, but it just the stars didn't align for me, and it just was like nothing was working out. And so after 6 months I was like, okay, let's do something new.
Like I feel like the New York, LA, Nashville, Austin music scenes, they're all similar in a lot of ways but very different in a lot of ways, because it's like Nashville, once you kind of find your tribe, you're good. Whereas like LA, if you find a tribe, maybe you're okay, but you still got to be careful, so it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
But it's awesome. So growing up in upstate New York and then around New York City, was music kind of always there? Did your family introduce you? How does that kind of start to play?
Yeah, so music was always alive in my household. No matter like what was going on, there was always music somewhere in the house, in the background, on the TV. My parents really loved music. So as always, like when you're born, you listen to what your parents are listening to. So my family is very much into music. They love to dance. So yeah, Mariah, Whitney, Motown. We had everything. My parents' love for music is very eclectic. And since we're upstate New York, people don't realize this, but there's a lot of country and farm area. So I grew up with the Dixie Chicks, Tim McGraw, Jody Messina.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where I think when people say New York, they think of the city, but they forget there's a whole state. You got Albany, you got Buffalo, and then there's farmland in between. So
I know I constantly am reminding people that when they say, oh, New York City, I'm like, New York City is this big compared to the entire state. It's like, I say this like 7 times a week. I'm like, guys, we need to have a lesson here.
Right. New York State is, what is it? Like one of the top, it's at least the top 10, one of the top 10 biggest states in the country.
Isn't it? Yeah, probably. I don't know, actually.
But I don't know.
Sounds good. I'll go with
M-
that.
Maybe I'm making that up because some of these Midwestern states are gigantic, but
Yeah, I don't know. Big in attitude, I guess. Even if you're from upstate or downstate, we all have an attitude, so it's all good.
hey, it's all good. I dig it. So then where does kind of the transition from just being like an admirer of music into like, hey, this is my life. This is what I want to be doing. Where does that transition kind of happen?
Well, for me, I was always a writer. I always like was writing since I was a little girl, like a little notepad. And then I went through different genres of music. Like I started in alternative music and then went pop and then naturally progressed into country because even my pop stuff had a lot of storytelling in it. I loved country instrumentation. It was very acoustic guitar heavy, a lot of it. I think there was just this natural progression because my roots were in country music. What I listened to as a kid was very country heavy. Um, I don't know. It just happened. And then I think I really realized I wanted to be like a front person of a band later in life because earlier I was doing like the cover thing and then I was a background singer. And through background singing, I always thought I felt safe in the background.
Mm.
And then after I did a couple tours and I came home, I'm like, no, I have something to say and I just need the confidence to like get out front.
Do you think being a background singer helped you have that realization or helped you get that confidence that you needed?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because so how did you get into like the background singing? Was it just kind of you were singing and somebody saw you, or was it like an audition, or how'd that kind of?
So my situation is really strange. So I never auditioned for any background singing job I ever got. It was always word of mouth.
Mhm.
At the time, for my first background singing opportunity, I was working in the city as a writer for a studio, and a competitive studio heard of me. They saw me on Instagram and Twitter and were like following me.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity arose, they remembered me. And they're like, "Hey, we heard about you. You work with so and so and so." And I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, really?" And they're like, "You want to do this national tour?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Me?" And they're like, "I was like, I have no experience background singing." And they're like, "It's fine. Wrong and strong. You figure it out as
Mhm.
you go." And I
Right.
really had to figure it out as I went. And I was not good at first. So yeah, it was learning experience. And so my life just kind of unfolded that way. Like unexpectedly, I can't speak right now because I have this
Yeah.
cough drop in my mouth, but it just all unfolded unexpectedly. And I'm a huge believer of whatever's meant for you won't pass you. And it's just my life is a prime example of that.
Yeah. I mean, just kind of being open to the opportunity. That's the first win. Because I know a lot
Yeah.
of people that they would have gotten that call, been like, "This is a scam. I'm not doing it."
Yeah. I mean, I did. I was like, "Are you sure?" Like, I was like, "Are you okay?" Like, me? And I just was like, "I'm going to take the leap." And the only way to grow is to fail.
Yeah.
You gotta fly and fall and rise. And fall. It's like this.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And so, how long were you a background singer for? You did that for several years, or?
Yeah. So I did it for several years with different artists. And I toured domestically and internationally. And so I did that for maybe like 7 years.
And that was all while you were in New York at
Yeah,
this point,
New York.
still?
Mhm.
And was this kind of the fire to get to Nashville, or what was kind of the transition to Nashville?
Well, this is a really strange story because, as I told you, I moved from New York to LA
Hmm.
and nothing was lining up in LA. Usually, I've never had a hard time finding an apartment a day in my life. I must have went to every single apartment complex in LA, and it was like everything was so bizarre. Like it wouldn't look like the pictures
Hmm.
online, and it was like weird. And so I had come to Nashville for like a week and a half of co-writes. I never had a plan to move to Nashville ever. And so I come to do the writing and I met some friends and I'm walking outside of this beautiful apartment complex with like a pool and a gym and all these things that we would never have in New York because all of our buildings there, first of all, they're crazy expensive and they're
Yeah.
very, very old. So there was no like gyms and pools. And if you had that, you had to be very wealthy.
Yeah.
So that was not me. So I walked into this building in Germantown in Nashville and I said, gosh, I just love to know like how much is it to rent an apartment here? And they said some number that was so low. Like I was like from coming from New York, I was like, oh what?
Yeah.
I will move here immediately. So I
Yeah.
literally, no joke, signed for that apartment that day. Never went back to LA. I had my friends, because my things were still in boxes. They shipped my stuff there. They were like, "You're not coming back," and I'm like, "Nope."
Nope.
And so it was so weird. My poor friends, they're like literally angels of humans. They shipped all my stuff back for me.
That's funny. That's
Yeah.
Hey, but you know what though? That makes a whole lot of sense. Like, especially in those big cities, rent is
Rent.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Rent, man. So I came here because it was cheaper rent. Now, fast forward, it's almost as expensive as New York.
Yep. Yep. I feel that. I almost moved to kind of an odd side story. Um, I almost moved up to North Dakota during the fracking boom,
Wow.
and the rent was so expensive. I had two friends that lived in LA, two friends that lived in New York. I called them both, or all four of them, and was like, "Hey, what are you paying for rent?" And the rent in North Dakota was more expensive than,
Wow.
and it was just like
Yeah.
the New York number was astronomical, so that kind of gives you the what it was, but I was just like, this is crazy. But yeah, so
Yep. We know that.
Nashville, it's kind of hard to believe, having been to Nashville and kind of scouted like what rooms would go for right now. It's really hard to hear like, oh yeah, rent was cheap here at one point.
It was so cheap. I mean, for me, I thought that was cheap coming from
Mhm.
where I was coming from. So, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then you just kind of jumped in, and you were doing music full time at this point, correct?
Yeah, I was doing music full time. Yep. And I still do music full time. And
Mm.
I just never stopped. And it's just only been progressing.
Nice, nice. And so before you moved to Nashville, when you were still doing the background singing, was there kind of a tipping point where you were like, okay, I've had fun going touring the world, seeing the world, all that fun stuff, to now I want to say what I've got to say. I want to write my music. Was there like a tipping point, or was it like gradual?
I think it was gradual, honestly. I mean, like I said, I had been writing for a really long time with other people, and I was trying to put little things out here and there. I wasn't really confident, and I was trying to find out what I really wanted to say because I had a love for all different genres of music. And when you're an artist, you need to kind of, have a main lane, and
Yeah.
then you can kind of bounce around a little bit. Um, so for me, that was the hardest part is where do I really want to be? I like all these different things, and sometimes what you love to listen to is not what you sound the best singing.
Mhm.
So I had to wrap my head around that one. Um, but yeah, it was a progression, really.
Nice. So you touched on something very interesting. I've never heard anyone really make this reference point about what you like listening to isn't necessarily what you sound good singing.
Right.
How did you come to that realization?
Well, because like I told you, I started in alternative, so there was some bands. I mean, I'm older, so I loved some bands like Evanescence, like Amy
Mhm.
Lee,
Oh,
and like Flyleaf, and like these like harder bands. And I could never sing that kind of stuff. It just, for one, it wasn't believable. Two, I don't have that kind of power like that. I've just, my voice is completely set. It's completely
mm.
different. So although I loved it and I would like rock out in my car singing it, I probably sounded like a dying animal trying to hit those notes. I couldn't. I Amy from Evanescence she's almost like operatic. Like you can
Mhm.
hardly. She's amazing. So you know
Yeah,
that wasn't for me. I just was like, I can't do this.
fair. Very fair. So it was a lot of trial and error, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I just had to say like I had to just sit with it and find myself. You
Nice.
know.
And so during that time, were you like listening to different stuff just to kind of try and figure out, okay, this is the extreme high that I can't do,
Um,
but were you kind of listening to different music, or was it just kind of trying to figure out what was comfortable?
I don't think I listened to different music and went, can I sing this? Or like, should I do this for my own artistry? I think my own artistry came on its own,
Mhm.
but I think that I did pull from different influences for
Gotcha.
sure. Yeah.
Gotcha. I guess that's ultimately what I was trying to get to. It's
Yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah. I think I pulled from like I'm a huge Alison Krauss fan.
Mhm.
So I noticed in my own stuff, like I tend to go to my falsetto sometimes, and I think that's attributed to her. Uh, so yeah, I think yeah. I was
Sure.
definitely listening heavy to like Alison Krauss while recording and stuff. So yeah.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
So, and so you end up moving to Nashville by way from New York by way of LA. Yep, I
Yeah.
think that tracks.
Yeah.
Were you releasing your own music at this point, or was it kind of
Mm,
more once you got to Nashville, that's when that kicked in?
yeah, I want to say I released my first, I say my real demo because I did an alternative demo before, but I didn't really stay on that path. So that was just a trial. But I released my real demo, I think in 2017. Yeah, 2017. And then I had stayed consistently releasing like every year. I think the first time I did an EP, I think it was like 7 songs. And then the following year, I think I just did a bunch of, oh no, I went from a pop EP to a country EP, and the country EP is where I stayed. I stayed in that
Nice.
genre there on out. Yeah, and then I just been releasing singles consistently kind of ever since.
Nice. Well, and I mean, once the pandemic kind of hit, everything kind of switched
Yeah.
to more singles driven, which realistically isn't really any different than what the industry's kind of always been. If you go back to the radio days, yeah, yeah, people like the fans wanted to hear albums, but what you heard on the radio was
One single at a time.
one single at a time. They weren't playing albums unless it was like the weird offshoot indie radio station that was like, hey, we're going to play the deep B-side cuts, which I loved. Don't get me wrong, but that
Yeah.
wasn't the norm back in the
Right.
90s and early 2000s.
Right.
So, yeah. So once you kind of made that transition to country music and you kind of found your lane, how do you feel like right now? Obviously, you've been consistently releasing music. From what I can tell, you've had a busy time in Nashville, period,
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. It has been busy here. I've been on the move. they
hey,
call it a they call it a 10-year town, but honey, I'm not trying to be here for 10 years and doing the same thing. So I am on the hustle train.
hey, you know what? That's good. Like, keep moving, keep growing. If you're not growing, you're dying.
That's true.
So, um, but you just released a new single
In
last
August.
month,
Yeah.
August. I can't believe it's September already,
I
to be
can't
honest with
I am like having anxiety about it. I know. This year's flying by, but yeah, I just released a single in August, the beginning of August, so it's been about a month. It's called
you.
Ex Lover.
And what's the story behind this song?
Well, funny enough, I actually wrote this song about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And it was a song I thought I was going to release last year. And then I was like, it doesn't feel right. The time doesn't feel right. So I held off. And then all of a sudden, about 3 months ago, I was like, oh, I have that song Ex Lover. It was like in my head. And I was on a walk and I was like thinking about it. I was like, you know what? The time is right. The time is right. I am feeling in my sassy, petty self. So I was like, we're going to release this song. Um, and the song is just about an ex lover who I wrote a letter to. And so it's like kind of like this letter, just kind of being petty and just being like, you know what? You're not that awesome. You're not a nice person. The red flags were there. I ignored them. And that was my little message to him.
Nice, nice. That's it's it sometimes it just needs to be put out there and said.
Mm-hmm. They just
So
say there's a quote that says you never wrong a writer. They'll get their revenge in script. So there you
right.
go.
I mean, I think there's a few musicians out there that have made their living talking about their exes.
Yeah. And honestly, it was a really fun song to make. I mean, I was like laughing. If you listen on Spotify or Apple or wherever you stream, the end of the song, I'm actually genuinely laughing. And I made a little comment at the end, or you can go and listen to it. I'm not gonna say it right now, but
Okay,
it's funny. It's like I had so much fun singing that song.
nice. So was it 3 months ago that you ended up recording it, or had it been recorded and you were
No,
just
yeah, I recorded it like last year.
okay?
Thought we were gonna we thought we were gonna release it. And I just shelved it for a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes you just got to let songs kind of, I don't want to say mature, because
Yeah.
once they're already like recorded, I feel like they've probably matured as much as they can, but you just got to let a song ferment a little bit.
Yeah. I think that as an artist, like I wanted to be ready to put it out. And I just felt like for whatever reason at the time, it just wasn't the time.
Hmm.
I had
Oh
other
yeah.
things to say.
And was there a moment that you realized like this is the time to put it out, or was it just like,
Yeah. I mean, nothing had happened with that ex, right? This has
mhm,
been like years in the, I've made
yeah,
it years ago, but I just was on this walk and was like, gosh, the song keeps coming back into my brain. And I think if a song keeps coming back to your heart, into your brain, and you can hear, and like all the time you're reminded of it, I'm like, well, if I like it, maybe somebody else will like it.
yeah,
And I was like, just the time is right. It's summertime. It's sassy. I'm petty. It's fun. Why not? I
yeah,
don't take myself too seriously. So it's like, let's just have a good time.
yeah, for sure. I definitely, I'm probably not the target demographic for the song, but I if
Maybe
you go,
you have an ex lover and you want to send them that message.
that is accurate. Okay,
Okay,
yes,
there you go. On to the next
that
subject.
yes, that is accurate. Next thing.
Next thing.
So Ex Lover, it's out now, Spotify, all that fun stuff. Now that it's been out about a month, like what's running through your mind? Like obviously you've had time to kind of let the song be there, but are you like itching to do another one? Like where's your headspace at right now?
So I'm still gonna be pushing Ex Lover because it's still my little baby song. We have lots that it's coming up that we haven't announced yet with that song. But I do have another song. I can't tell you what it is quite yet because we're still recording it.
Yeah.
But I have two songs
Okay.
that will be released in the next few months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the typical follow-up question to that response, are these songs that people have heard before?
You That's a good
If
question.
if
If
they've
you're
seen you,
live, if you
yes.
come to see me live, I've recently started singing it as of a week ago. And I'm
Okay.
also gonna be singing it tonight.
Okay.
So but the
Cool.
other song, no, is sorry. The other song, no, no one's ever heard it live.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I got told by a PR agent once when I asked a question about an upcoming song that nobody could talk about. And there, I was like, the PR agent told me, he was like, most people will just let that die and let it be what it is. But I like what you did there, where it was like, just get a little bit more information out of them without spoiling the song. So,
Right, right.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, it's easy. Like, it's not a hard question. Like,
No,
so, yeah, it's always funny to kind of get people a little squirmy when I ask that question
I
because it,
know. I mean, would anything happen if I said anything? No, but I do want
yeah,
to I just want to stay focused on, ex lover right now. And I'm
yeah,
also, you never know. So as artists, we can plan all we
yeah,
want. We can plan, oh, we're gonna release this song first. But guess what? Life happens and you may not release it when you think you're gonna release it. And you may
yeah,
change the name of it. And you
right,
may so for me, that's the only reason why I'm not announcing it until I'm sure. Like, because one of the songs, the one that I do sing live,
hmm,
we actually haven't settled on the name for it because
oh,
one of the writers wants one name and I want it to be another name. So, and we're friends, but we're just like trying to see what's best for it.
figure
So
it
I
out,
couldn't
yeah,
even tell you anyway because I don't know.
fair,
When I
fair,
announce it, when I sing it live now, I'm like, this is a song we just wrote. It doesn't have a name yet, but here it is.
yeah, because I mean, you hit a very good point. Like, you could wake up Monday and the entire world's changed, and so it's just like I mean that's essentially what happened during the pandemic. You woke up one day and it's like, oh hey, we're all going into lockdown,
Yeah.
So,
And even with Ex Lover, I mean, I was supposed to release that a year ago. That was the
mhm,
plan. We were going to release it. It was done. Everything was great. We sent it to be mastered. And then all of a sudden, I woke up and was like, no, I don't want
yep,
to do this now.
agreed, 100%. So you're in Nashville now. You're doing your thing. You're doing the music. What do you like to do outside of music? What's like a passion of yours, like just to kind of decompress or maybe make yourself more stressed out? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. We love to add on to the stress. I am a proud new dog mom of
that's
two beautiful puppies. They're 7 months old. I got them at 6 weeks. So that's been
nice.
keeping me crazy busy. I call myself a mother of twins. Um, so they're like the joys of my life. So when I'm not doing music, I am at the dog park. I am taking them on walks. I am
Nice.
clearing my brain. I'm getting lots of snuggles. And then aside from that, I'm a big animal girl. So I love horses. So I
Yeah.
horseback ride. I like to hang with my friends, do that whole thing.
Mhm.
And I love TV shows. So like I usually have to binge watch because I don't have a lot of time. So if I have a
Mhm.
day off, I am like playing with my dogs, watching TV that I need to
Yeah.
catch up on.
What have you binged recently?
Ooh, I binged a show called Your Honor. Have you heard of it?
Okay.
On Netflix.
Is is it the I there's a couple of shows that are popping to my mind,
Yep,
but
I
okay,
watched
go.
that. I watched Baby Reindeer,
Okay.
and now I'm on The Chosen.
Nice.
It's
Yeah.
eclectic.
Yeah. I just got done binging Young Sheldon.
I have not seen that, and people have told me to watch that.
I agree. Watch it. The first few episodes are a little bit of a grind to get through, but once you kind of get through the first half of the first season, it really just starts to kind of ravel
Yeah.
and go. But I started binge watching it because I wanted to see the seventh season. Everybody was hyping up the seventh season. And by the time I got to the end of the sixth season, the seventh season wasn't on Netflix. And I was like, I'm gonna have to binge watch this again once the seventh season gets released because I'm
Yeah.
not gonna remember what happened. So
Yeah, totally.
it's it's whatever. But no, that's cool. And so is there anything that you're like looking forward to watching or that's you got kind of your eye on next?
I on next. So I'm knee deep right now in The Chosen. I think I'm on like season 3.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty deep, so you have to actually pay attention. When I always get like distracted with the dogs eating something, so I can't ever like I've
Right.
not been the best with paying attention to it. What do I have my eye on next? Ooh, it's a good question. I will have to get back to you on that because I actually don't know.
Fair. And, I mean, if you
I'm
want
open to
one
suggestions. The Sheldon one, maybe, but
young Sheldon's good, but I think for you'd have to have really been into like Big Bang
see,
Theory.
I never watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
See,
why I've helped. Yeah, because people said you would love it, you should watch it. I'm like, but I don't know like what I'm watching. Yeah, I don't know.
see, if young Sheldon, like there's a lot of callbacks to Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
Had they not done the callbacks so much, I think it would be a good standalone show.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is what it is, but I
Yeah.
think the third series is going to be the good standalone. No, not you, Siri. I said series. Sorry, but
Did it
series
go on?
started.
That's so
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think like the third thing is going to
Yeah.
be what it is, a good standalone project. So, um, yeah. So you're staying busy with the dogs, with the music, and just loving life right now.
Love and life. I've been really busy. I own a business called Native Manor Artists.
Mm.
It's the artist division of Native Manor, which is a casting and coordination company. I recently brought it to Nashville.
Mm.
Um, and so I've been kind of promoting it through my rounds that I host in town called Heavy Hitters, and I have a showcase called Big Daddy. And it's all to benefit artists and it's artist services. So I've just been kind of juggling it all because I think, as artists, we should be working. I know there's like a stigma in town where they're like, you can only focus on music. You can't do anything else. You can't, oh my gosh, how can you do more than one thing? And I'm from a different world because like I come from New York where, the more you do, the better.
Mm.
So you have an agent, they want to see your resume, your
Yeah.
artist resume. So here I was like, wait, you don't think I can do anything else? And they're like, yeah, you can't have a business. You can have a
Right.
business and be a musician. I was like, but you'll allow me to be a waitress? And
Right.
why can't, and there's nothing wrong with waitressing or anything. You should have a hustle. You should make
Yeah.
money. But at the same time, it's like, well, I think it's really weird that you're telling me I can't be a business owner, but I could be a waitress or a bartender. It's the same difference. It's that the only difference is that I'm pouring back into something that could make me money in my
Mm.
sleep, and
Yeah.
I'm the owner of it. So that's something that I've kind of been frustrated with in Nashville and trying to prove to people, listen, I've been doing this the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So like, just because I didn't talk about it doesn't mean it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And not just women, but everyone can do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Yeah.
limitless, your life.
Oh yeah. It's a hill I've had to battle with Live and Amplify. I've had bosses that were like, "Oh, well, you're not fully committed to the company. You can't do this, you can't do that." And I was like, as far as I'm aware, once I punch out at 5 o'clock, y'all
I can do
don't
whatever I
need
want.
yeah, y'all
Yeah.
don't need me. If I wanted to drive every night to Houston and back just to get an interview, guess what? I'm going to do it. It doesn't make
Yeah.
sound financial sense, but if I want to do it, I'm going to do it, you
What
know?
I tell people is that if I start falling short and slacking, you can come and talk to me about it, but I keep doing stuff. So like mind your business.
Yeah.
It's like my sass. I'm like, mind your business.
Yeah.
I'll mind
And,
my business, mind yours.
oh yeah.
The end.
There's been a couple times where I'll go on a road trip to do a whole bunch of podcast interviews. I'll show up back at work, or I'll show up in town at 7:30 a.m.
Need to
have
work.
to be at work at 8:30 a.m. So I literally have enough time to shower and
Change.
maybe inhale some food before I
Yeah.
got to head out the door. And then I'll put in a full 12-hour day and then come back and do more podcasts afterwards. And I'm still out working half the people at the office. And it's like,
Yeah. I'm just
it's,
here trying to prove some people wrong. So
yeah.
keep telling me I can't, and we will keep showing you we can. That's
Oh,
it.
yes. 100%. 100%. So, uh, no, that's really cool. I love that you're motivated and you're really focusing on the long-term aspect of life where, you
Yeah.
know, music's always going to be there in some capacity, whether it's
Yeah.
professionalism or just kind of something you do on the side. But
Yeah.
this business, hopefully, will always be there for you. So,
And also, you have to think of it like this, like your artistry is your art, it is your business. Like if you're a
mhm.
singer nowadays, you can't just be a singer. I'm sorry. You just can't. It's
Yeah.
you can't just sit in your bedroom and write songs and sing because there's so much more to it now. Now it's you have to be a content creator. You have to be your own manager. You have to be your booking agent. You have to be all these things, right? So you're wearing many hats. We are all entrepreneurs. Every singer-songwriter is an entrepreneur. That's that.
Agreed. Sorry, I was already thinking in the head of social media, Tom. That is going up on TikTok right there.
Love it.
All right, 10. Yep. Okay, 37 minutes. We're good.
Love
Cool. I was
it.
sitting there. I was like, don't, Tom, you shut up. You do not say a damn thing. Let this woman talk, and you will use it and make everybody a little bit more famous. So,
Yay.
no, that's really cool. I really appreciate it. So kind of looking forward, obviously, you've got the new projects that'll be coming out in the next couple of months, and
Yeah,
then you got a show tonight, actually,
for tonight.
which kudos to you. I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot that we had that conversation offline.
Yeah, that's okay. No,
I
this
was
has
just,
been so much fun. This has been so much fun.
oh, what's your show schedule look like for like the rest for the next month or so? Like, are you playing
So,
pretty consistently or?
I've been gigging actually more so recently than I have been in a while because I took a lot of time off to kind of focus on other things like my writing and coming up, getting the right songs and everything like
Mhm.
that. But I've had shows like a past 2 weeks pretty consistently. I have one tonight. I'm playing Bus Call, I think on the 18th, which is that's a showcase round in Nashville. Um, and yeah, I have a lot of gigs coming up. I actually have to update my website. So I thank you for reminding me about my gig schedule. So I'll be posting there where I'll be playing in the next couple months. So
Nice. And you're primarily playing around Nashville, or are you hoping to get outside
yeah,
of Nashville a bit?
I would love to get outside of Nashville. I mean, I do play in New York a lot. Not as much as I used to, but I still go back home and I play and it's great.
How far of a trip do you drive back up to New York, or will you
Oh,
fly?
absolutely not. Nope,
Okay.
nope, nope. I'm a diva. No, I am not going to be driving 18 hours. So I take a 2 hour nonstop flight from Nashville to New York. And then if I go home where I'm actually from,
Yeah,
then have to rent a car and drive 4 hours. So
fair.
yeah.
It's 4 hours because it takes an hour to get through 10 miles through New
Yeah.
York traffic, all that
Crossing the
stuff.
bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. I keep saying I want to go to New York, but all the things I hear about the traffic is very reminiscent of Chicago. And it's
Yeah.
like,
You're not gonna have to worry about it though. If you if you just travel there,
yeah,
you're gonna fly into like LaGuardia and take an Uber, you'll be fine. Then you
yeah,
can walk everywhere, you
that's
know?
fair. That's
Yeah,
very fair.
yeah,
I
you'll be
just
fine.
stay in one place and everybody's like, oh, stay away from there, stay away from there. And it's like,
Don't listen to any tourists. You listen
yeah,
to the locals, okay?
right.
Because tourists, sorry guys, you don't know what you're talking about. You do the
I,
tourist things.
yeah,
Sorry.
right.
I'll give you a list of places to go. The place is great. I mean, the city's great. It's beautiful.
Because what I like about that is when I go to new places, I'll do the touristy things if they
Yeah.
interest me,
Yeah.
but 9 times out of 10, I want to go where the locals are. Like,
That's where the best food is.
yep,
That is the best. Listen, tourist stuff, love it. Go see the Statue of Liberty. Go all those beautiful things.
yeah,
That's amazing. But listen to locals when it comes to the food, okay?
yeah,
Serious. Come to
yeah.
me. I'm gonna set you on the right path.
Awesome. We will get that locked in. I will let you know.
Okay.
I almost took a random trip to New York a couple months ago just because I was getting a little stir crazy around
Yeah.
here. And I was just like, I'm gonna just fly to New York
Fly to New York. You
and
get really
then
cheap tickets.
yeah, and just stay there for the night and then fly back. I don't know
Yeah.
why I would do that, but I just kind of want to do it. So
You should just do it. I mean, honestly, if you fly, I'm trying to think, does Allegiant go there? It's so cheap nowadays. There's like these airlines that do these
mhm.
really budget friendly
Oh, yeah.
flights.
Well, I
But
found out. So my dad lives in South Florida now.
okay.
I found out Allegiant flies out of Austin.
Ooh.
I, I can go from Austin to a little bit north of Orlando. It's a little smaller airport north of Orlando, and it's about 2 hours from my dad.
Oh wow.
And I could do it for $79.
See what I'm saying?
And my dad's like, I don't want to have to drive that far north. I'm like, Dad, you're going to drive 2 hours south to go to Miami to pick me up, but you're not going to come north to go to Orlando to come get me. He's like,
Totally.
you're
Oh
right. You're
yeah.
right.
Mm-mm.
That's
Yeah.
right. Okay, Dad.
That's
Thanks.
funny.
I appreciate it. But no, it's all good. Oh, so if anybody wants to check out your music, upcoming shows, website, all that fun stuff, where can they find you?
They can find everything on my website at jantonette.com, or you can basically follow my Instagram at j_Antonette. And there's links to all my accounts and platform, like, so, what is it called? Streaming platforms
Yep.
there. And my stories are really crazy and somewhat entertaining or annoying, not sure, but I do post a lot. So uh, they can find me there.
Nice. Now, do you do your stories as like little TikToks on TikTok, just you talking into camera, or
I do a lot of rants. I do whatever
okay?
I feel. I would say this, my Instagram is very authentic.
Mm.
So it's sporadic, just like me. I'm all over the map.
Hey,
So like I ranted about Riley Green for like 20 minutes the other day, and it was really funny. And so we have a good time.
nice. I'll have to dive a little bit deeper in on your Instagram then.
Yeah,
So,
it gets a little scary. No, I'm kidding.
hey, you know what though? There's nothing wrong with that. I'll take as long as it's authentic and
It's
honest.
authentic and it's funny and it's silly and it's, I think, positive for the most part.
Awesome. I'm all here for it. So awesome. But Jess, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch y'all later.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Yeah.